But we're literally doing pre-production for a film shoot during our pre-production to our live shoot. Talk about juggling chainsaws and tiki torches.
Yeah, that was a solid production meeting.
It would be... What would we ever do if we were in the position where we actually had time to pre-pro? Anything.
I can't even imagine that scenario. I don't know how we would get there.
But again, sometimes, there's an old saying, if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. A busy person always finds a way to get stuff done. When you're not busy, you always have time, and then you always punt. I think, man, you hate to do sports analogies here on Those Incredibles Network, but it makes sense. Or you're going to punt because you think you have plenty of time on the clock, or do you want that 2-minute offense when you're just running and gunning? You got to make it across the field, and you're not really thinking about it too much. I also liken it. Maybe this is the analogy we'll use. We will use Homer Simpson when he wanted to do something father-daughter with Lisa, so he was going to help her break into this art museum that she really liked, and they were hanging from a cliff. And he said, "Lisa, are you scared?" And she said, "Yeah, Dad, I'm scared." And he said, "Good. You're going to need that momentum to make that jump. You're going to need that adrenaline to make that jump." And they jumped in, and I feel like that's what all our productions are. Are you scared? Yep, good. You're going to need that adrenaline. So...
we're just going to jump and decide in the air.
Yeah.
Just like Jordan, like Air Jordan used to do. That's what us and Air Jordan do.
And it's safer, believe it or not. If you're sitting there and you're thinking about how you're going to land, you're already in your head, you're going to land wrong. When you go to that top rope and you think about it, you're already in trouble. Don't think about it. Just go. Just fly. There's the leap of faith. We're going to talk about Indiana Jones today, but he knows that leap of faith. You got to take that step, Junior, and that step will be there. Junior.
At what point do you think about it, though?
When you're in flight.
Yeah.
In flight.
Definitely not before or after, just during.
Because then it's your body consciousness thinking about it versus your ego consciousness, which is your brain's going to try to trick you, man. Brain's a scumbag sometimes, where your body's just like, yeah, I'm just going to go with it and make it as safe as possible.
Yeah.
So what's up, YouTubes, inner tubes? How's it going? Welcome to House Show Live. We got a good slate of culture pops and kayfabe content for you. We're going to be talking about the new perennial annual viewing pleasure that is known as Violent Night.
A new classic.
A new classic.
In my opinion. I saw it twice, I told you.
Yeah, I can't believe you popped it out twice. That's awesome.
That's been a while since I've seen the opening weekend movie twice on opening weekend.
Yeah, that's saying something. And then we'll go retro with we did some Terror Tuesday with the Blob. And then we have a friend of the show, Eric. He's actually live here in Austin, Texas. He's going to be a live correspondent in about an hour for AEW Dynamite, which is currently filming as we speak.
Nice.
So yeah, we have a little bit of that. So yeah, we got a good slate of stuff, and then we're going to actually go over the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which reminds me of the Jack Black movie, right? Wasn't that called The Pick of Destiny?
The Tenacious D movie.
Yeah, Tenacious D, I should call it. Yeah, because they were both in it. The Pick of Destiny.
Yeah. I saw Kyle Gass at Stubbs once just walking around.
Did you?
Yeah, and it's funny. He was in gym shorts and that same kind of shirt he always wears.
Right. You can totally see, Pocket
tee and gym shorts.
If you had to run into somebody at a barbecue restaurant at that time, that all tracks.
Yeah.
The wardrobe tracks, the person tracks, even a barbecue stain on the shirt tracks.
Yeah.
So that'll be good stuff. So what do you want to jump in first? You want to jump right into Violent Night? You want to stay in the present, or do you want to jump to the past?
I'm gonna let you decide. I'm gonna let you drive the show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit the buttons.
Yeah. Let's start with Violent Night, because that'll give Eric some time. We're gonna wait for him to go about halfway through the show so he can give us a halfway report live from what's going on in AEW Dynamite. The biggest scoop that I have so far for AEW Dynamite is it is official that William Regal is going to be leaving AEW. So
Is he leaving tonight, or is he gone already?
Well, they did the spot last week where MJF turned on him. But I think his contract goes to the end of the year. I think that gave closure on the MJF spot. You kind of need closure on the Blackpool Combat Club spot. But he is going to be going wrestling with his son, Charlie, that is actually tearing it up in NXT. So he is going back to WWE.
What a sweet deal for him.
Yeah.
He just cut a 1-year deal. Has it even been a year?
No. Yeah, I think it's barely been a year. But if you listen to the story about him sitting down with TK and kind of hashing it out, and it sounded like there's going to be no hard feelings, no burnt bridges. So we'll get that halfway through the show report from our friend Eric.
All right, so Violent Night is the new film starring David Harbour as Santa Claus.
Did you expect to like it as much as you did?
Well, I started hearing about it here. I'm at the point now where I feel comfortable watching some reviews before I'll see the movie. So I was seeing, or I'll watch part of the review. I'll watch like the first 30 seconds. And I was feeling it. I was like, oh, I bet this is going to be really good. Like I just, because it's they're called 87 North. It's the John Wick stunt coordinators.
Right.
They started their own film production company, and now they make these movies where it's basically, their whole gimmick is something with, good action.
Right. They did John Wick. They did Nobody. Mm-hmm. Right. And that was another one that was pretty.
Yeah. So they got Bob Odenkirk to be a badass. They did some movie on Netflix called Sunshine Cleaning or something. It's got Jamie Foxx, but it's similar. I think it's vampires and good stunt coordination. Was one of their other. Anyway, this one I think. I loved it. I really, really loved it.
I was getting the same vibes from you just by watching the trailer, and they, hats off to the marketing team. They did a lot of marketing for this film we were getting trailers for this way early, September, October, so you knew it was coming. We did we did some shorts on this that did really well, and I think everything, the magic season was magical with this, was the casting. The casting was great. The premise was great. It's already kind of like, now, it used to be like alternative conversation, like, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Now it's a given. Now it's like all movies are being explored. And then you talked about Home Alone being Die Hard for kids. So when I saw the marketing gimmick that said it's Die Hard meets Home Alone, we're like, okay, this marketing team watches House Show Live, presented to you by the Dos Incredibles Network.
It is not only Die Hard meets Home Alone. Or what did you say?
Yeah, Die Hard meets Home Alone.
It's not only Die Hard meets Home Alone. It's Die Hard 1 and 2 meets Home Alone.
Yeah. Yeah, because for it to be considered a horror comedy, obviously the name being Violent Night, they didn't pull back from the violence. You had very similar vibes.
Well, I don't think this is a horror movie.
No, I meant, just the violence, not the horror.
Right.
They committed to it. They did not pull back because they knew that people are going to be laughing. You got the vibe, which we talked about in the show, with JJ, of like, should I be laughing at this? And you had a lot of that stuff. Like, okay, we're going to laugh. Like the stuff that was in the trailer, like when he snuck the grenade in the guy's pants and then he runs and he turns around. He's like, oh, I got to watch. And then you're going to laugh. But you still just watch somebody get a grenade stuck down their pants. So let me just give the official reading of here. Violent Night, 2022 American Christmas action comedy starring David Harbour as Santa Claus who fights mercenaries who have taken a wealthy family hostage in their home. Directed by Tommy Wirkola. Also starring John Leguizamo, Alex Hassel, Alexis Louder, Eddie Peterson, Cam Gilardetti, and I thought this was a good luck charm for a Christmas movie. That's right. Mrs. Griswold, Beverly D'Angelo was in there, and I was like, wow, that's a good luck charm.
Yeah, now she's in another Christmas classic.
She's in another Christmas
I
classic.
feel like this, there was, To me, I thought the script was really good.
Solid.
Really tight. Everything just, I loved the code names everybody had. I loved the allusions to, Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2. Home Alone, of course, that was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the spoiler thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can't talk about it without talking about it.
No, you have to commit to some spoilers here. No choice.
When they do the Die Hard booby traps, but as a shoot, what was that?
A moth.
They do the Die Hard booby traps as a shoot. That was amazing.
Oh my God, yeah. So that was one of the most painful things that was ever put on film and presented, and it got the biggest pop when she was hiding in the attic, and she sawed the one step, and he's like, hi, you're not going to trick me. I've seen Home Alone. And they even called it out. She's like, I just watched Home Alone. It was hilarious. The setup was perfect. And then the nail in the next rung. I did not expect that. I expected the nail to go through his foot. I did not expect the nail to go through his chin, through the bottom of his mouth and see there. And it got the loudest pop. To me, that was one of the biggest oh shit moments in this film. As far as like, what if Home Alone was a shoot, right? Because you still laughed, gets hit in the head with an iron, you burn all this stuff. You're like, they turned it into a comedy. They 100% sold us of like, what if Home Alone was a shoot?
Yeah, the bowling balls looked painful.
And then the super glue of like, what would happen if you got your hair pulled out? I mean, it was great. Everything about it was so good. It was masterfully handled. What really impressed me too was I wasn't sure about, okay, how much of a fantasy are you going to get into this? They left so much room. They added so much lore because they made a lot of hints to Mrs. Claus. So I feel like it's a slam dunk for, you got a franchise now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely they teased Mrs. Claus. This movie's already doing pretty well. And whoever booked it, as far as the release date, timed it perfect.
Oh yeah,
because now you've got the way things work now. It's making cash, and they've got from now until Christmas, right?
Yep.
To make all that movie theater cash. Then they can drop this thing on digital on Christmas Eve and make a boatload of cash. How many folks are going to buy it on Christmas Eve for $20?
You think they're going to do an early drop?
They have to. This has to go to digital before Christmas. Or on Christmas. To maximize that pop.
Yeah, I don't know what the budget is, but I mean,
the budget was $20 million.
Okay, so they're already in the black.
Yeah, so
worldwide.
They're already working out how to do the sequel.
And the backstory, man. Did you know that he was basically going to be a Viking raider and that kind of explained away why Santa Claus was so. He had the magic bag and he had the magic Christmas, but he was not selling the magic of Christmas. He's like, I kind of don't know how this stuff works. But at the same time, he was he had what was it called? Painmaker? The hammer? Skull Crusher. So it made sense because he was a Viking raider that was all about using this close quarters, hand-to-hand combat. You know, and he called the guns like little gizmos and little gadgets and gizmos. I thought that was a nice little touch too, that he preferred hand-to-hand combat because he was a Viking raider. I thought that was great.
Nice way to get across that Santa knows how to fight.
Yeah, this is a very aggressive and violent version of the Tim Allen Santa Claus, where now obviously the future you're going to see who is missing Mrs. Claus, how does she fit into this, and also how did he get bequeathed the title and the position of Santa Claus. I think that's great. You can have a prequel, you can have a sequel. This is, if you keep the budget manageable, you're always going to make money. But again, this is just this one alone. If this is all they did, they cemented a holiday classic for years and years to come.
It's like you always said, right? You make a Christmas classic, you're going to play it every year.
Every year, without fail. The excitement I got from this is I haven't felt since Krampus. I was so happy that you got something different that you'll want to watch every year. And Krampus did that for me. Now it's like, Violent Night does that for me too.
Well, it really hits the mark because, like, there's the whole sort of constant debate about whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And this one sort of takes that whole question and says, yes, let's make Die Hard as a Christmas movie. And then for sure we've answered that question. So we take little bits of other Christmas movies without, well, we would explicitly call them out, sure. But even just the small touches, you know, like there was that one guy named Bjorn who's very reminiscent of the terrorists in Die Hard. You have the snowmobiles from Die Hard 2 in there.
Yes.
I can't think of it, but there's just the dudes who wrote this script definitely took some time and put some care, or maybe this just all came naturally because everything just really lines up script wise, I think.
And we're gonna do it. We're gonna call it out. YouTube short live. Here we go. Did the producers of Die Hard miss the boat by not making a Die Hard sequel that was an actual Christmas movie?
I don't know. I mean, did they Die Hard 1 and 2 both take place at Christmas?
But in like an actual Christmas movie, like John McClane dressed up as Santa, getting stuck in the mall. He masquerades as a mall Santa. The answer is yes. They won. This proves without a shadow of a doubt a Die Hard Christmas special would have made a boatload of cash. And now we're benefiting it, and David Harbour is benefiting it because Violent Night filled that void. I thought it would have been great, even if it was done Marvel style Die Hard Christmas special. Yeah, you'd watch that every year. People watch Die Hard every year. You would turn it into a double feature. I mean, John McClane came back to sell a battery for a car. You're telling me that he wouldn't have took the cash and made a Christmas special, even if it was just an hour? Man, that would have been great.
I don't know. I don't know where Bruce Willis was at that time.
No.
But, you know, because he's fallen kind of ill. So I knew
unfortunately, now
he was trying to bank out a lot of stuff before it couldn't work anymore.
Yeah, and he can't work anymore, and it's not. But there was an interview that's floating around in YouTube that he was pretty much saying, no, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Like, he is against that. Or is he like Harrison Ford when they ask Harrison Ford a question about Han Solo, and then he looks at the camera and he says, who cares? Who cares? So, but yeah, 2 thumbs way up for Violent Night. I will probably be going to theaters one more time to see it. It's going to be tough. There's not a lot of competition. We talked about this with Avatar, other than Avatar, which is going to be another one that's going to have required multiple viewings.
Well, the reviews started dropping last night.
Oh yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. I know you started hitting into that. What is film Twitter saying about Avatar?
Well, they're raving about it right so far.
Wow.
Everybody's like absolutely just, amazing.
Well, again, we
don't bet against James Cameron.
We have we have a short dropping tomorrow. We also have a video about don't bet against James Cameron. And we didn't talk, I mean, other than was True Lies was the first time that he really started dabbling into, look, I'm going to go over budget, but it's going to be worth it. But I think it was Titanic was when he really hit that next gear of just like, I'm going to need another $100 million, and we talked about this, that he pretty much forego my director's salary. I believe in this movie that much. Even if you don't believe in it, I believe in it. And it paid off. And then he did the same thing with Avatar. And he's doing the same thing with this one. They were way behind. And he's like, trust me, it's going to be worth it. I'll tell you what, just go with it. I'll give you 4 more Avatars. You're going to love it.
Guillermo del Toro says, I say it again, Avatar 2, seeing it, you realize how long it has been since you saw a movie. Like that, in all caps.
Whoa.
That's Guillermo del Toro.
That's saying something, man. That's a huge shot in the arm for Jim Cameron. Not that he needed it.
I think the main thing, the thing that it has going against it, if it has anything, because there's no way James Cameron was going to make a crappy Avatar 2.
No.
It wasn't going to happen. And he's never, like I said, he hasn't lost before. He's bet the farm every time, and every time he wins. The thing that's going to be what could possibly hold it back is, are people not that into going to the movies anymore?
There's that. There's 100% that. Not
do people now we know things can hit digital in like 30 days or something like that. 15 days.
Yeah.
So is that going to be a deterrent for folks to go get out of their living rooms where they can have the comfort of their own home, make their own snacks, make their own drinks, and go to the theater and sit there for 3.5 hours?
There's a commercial that runs in Cinemark, and I think they're trying to put theaters over, of just like they show something on a very small screen, and they're like, movies are not designed to play like this. And then boom, they blow up their XD. Movies are designed to play like this. James Cameron, the way he doesn't make films that you're going to watch on your phone. He makes films that you need to watch on the side of a skyscraper. Like, he needs all the room he can get. It's going to be booming. It's going to hit you from all directions. I think this film is great for like that Screen X, right? Where you got the triple screen surrounding you. IMAX, this is the type of stuff that James Cameron makes. So for those people that are staying home, how do those marketers convince them that this is not a movie that you can stay home for? You have to see this in theaters.
So let's see. First press reactions to Avatar: The Way of Water, calling it mind-blowing.
Wow.
A visual masterpiece.
Okay.
Phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it from a technical and visual standpoint. I think it's going to be good. Who was it? JJ pointed out it's been a long time since the first Avatar, so maybe people have forgotten about it. But from another standpoint, if you think about it, what's it been, 15 years?
Yeah, 2009.
So something like that. So sure, a lot of people might have forgotten about it. But when you wait that long in between, there's a lot of folks who came of age in that period.
Yeah. That
maybe saw the original on cable or something, have seen it before. I got a real anime vibe from it. Did you get that vibe?
Oh, 100%.
So I think that this could cross over into folks who are into just straight up animation. I'm psyched to see it.
That's a good point. You're talking about a generation that were not only the ones that come of age during that, but you're talking about a generation that, like my son, that are just, they were too young to go see this movie, right? They were 4 years old, and now they're of age. This is going to be their first foray into that feeling. And like I've said this on the show before, this is a movie that I'm going to go see in the biggest IMAX you can, because he designed it for that. And I just remember that feeling of being in the Bob Bullock IMAX and it just surrounding you, of just like, and you were just floored. And it changed the industry. And then everybody started like churning out 3D, and most of it was not worth it because he designed his films to be that way. So like you said, there's going to be there's got to be some looky-loos feeling here of just like, I want to go experience this in the theater, and I think it's going to be on marketing to do that. But then again, do they need to do that? Because Spider-Man No Way Home came out last December, and that was the first like the big anti-pandy risk of a big film, and people came out in droves for that film.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of things that folks knew were going to be in the movie.
Yeah,
they did the whole gimmick of revealing stuff without revealing stuff.
Right.
So this one doesn't have that. The trailer doesn't reveal anything.
Nothing.
But again, I think you pointed this out last week. James Cameron's movies have always gotten over slowly, right? It's the word of mouth, and then they linger. Nobody thought Titanic. I mean, do you remember when Titanic was getting made? This was even before we had the movie dirt sheets like we have now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody was like, Titanic's like so over budget. It's going to be stupid. Leonardo DiCaprio, James Cameron's ruined, right? You remember all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And and it just came out and people were like, oh, it's pretty good. Oh, wait, actually, it's really good. Oh, wait, I'm going to see it again. And it just went on. It was the number one movie for like weeks and weeks.
Weeks and weeks. I remember that, like you said, it was before movie dirt sheets. I was following along in Entertainment Weekly because they had the movie section, and that's when you saw Block. And I was like, how is this film still just staying there? I haven't seen anything like this since Independence Day. That is just movie just stayed in the top 10. And old Box Office Mojo, later on the armchair quarterbacks, people were able to go in there and you saw it just do this. Like, it was banging out opening weekend numbers for that time every weekend.
Yeah.
For like 4 or 5 weeks. It was just like, it was opening up to huge numbers because the word of mouth was like nothing we've ever seen before until Avatar.
Yeah.
Because that was also another one. Like, nobody knew what to expect with Avatar.
Yeah.
We had no idea. And now Avatar, here's the next point, which I think is going to benefit him in this situation. Avatar actually did even better outside the U.S., correct?
I think it did. I'm not positive, but maybe.
I feel like it made a big chunk of its cash outside. No, it made a big chunk of its cash, obviously, in the U.S. as well. But I feel like it was well, let's pull up. We got the data. We got the interwebs. Okay, so domestically, $785 million, right? But internationally, globally, $2.1 billion outside the U.S.
Yeah.
So that's what almost got it to that $3 billion mark, was outside the U.S. This was people that were not... I feel like the U.S. box office is a little bit jaded. They're also a little bit, I'll watch it at home, which is not going to be beneficial for a film like that. But then the rest of the world kind of made up the slack for that. I'm excited. You had Guillermo del Toro in there. I'm excited. I was great to hear what he said. I would like to hear what Quentin Tarantino was going to say about this, because again, he's another one that he was very like, look, if you're going to make a movie, you need more than just a bunch of seats and a big screen to get people to leave their house so you're actually going to see a movie. Well, it doesn't have to, and that doesn't necessarily all mean special effects, right? He put it in Pulp Fiction. I'm talking about a glass of beer. Now going to, you're going to get a dinner, you're going to get a movie, you're going to get a gimmick, you're going to get special effects. You're going to need something that needs to bring you to that theater. And again, that's where James Cameron's strong point is. And maybe he's totally counting on that word of mouth that, like, this film is going to be visually stunning like the first one was, and more so. And yes, go to the bathroom. You're going to see this again. He called the shot. He Babe Ruthed us.
Yeah. And he continues to. He even is out there. I mean, he has no fear. He's absolutely unconvinced. He does not fear this movie flopping. He has total confidence into it. And like he even said, someone asked him, is there a point, what's a good point where people should they like not go to the bathroom? And he even said that, because you're a big proponent of that, right? You gotta go to the bathroom. He's like, go to the bathroom during the movie. It's fine. You'll see it again. He's hey man, James Cameron, what are you gonna do? Like he's been right all along. He's just done it over and over. So is he gonna top himself again? I don't know. It's possible. Look, I mean, some movies eventually, through word of mouth, they achieve this universal appeal. I remember getting a text from my mom saying, I went and saw Wakanda Forever. Just out of the blue. She hadn't been to the movies in 2 years. But, sometimes a movie just has some sort of appeal that crosses over, or you hear about it, or you hear what's going to happen into it.
Yeah.
And it just brings them in.
You're right. And James Cameron, I appreciate the sentiment, but I'll go to the bathroom before everything starts, and I will hold it for that first viewing. Yeah. I can go to the bathroom during the movie if I've seen it already.
Look, give us an intermission. Why not?
I would love that.
Give us the intermission. Like, that's fair game. Give us 5 minutes. Could 5 minutes be enough? 10 minutes?
I think so. I feel like that's fair.
I mean,
Does
I'm
that
sure,
really take you out of the moment?
I don't think so. You put it in the right spot. I mean, movie theaters would love it, right? Give us another 10 minutes to sell snacks?
Yeah. Well, the last intermission that we got actually in theaters was The Hateful Eight, and I thought it was great.
Yeah.
When you came back for it, I was actually live on the spot. I had the cliffhanger feel. Like usually you watch a cliffhanger, you wait 4 months. You left it at the right spot, and then you were excited when the film came out, and it had this weird generating excitement of just like, okay, here we go. Let's find out what happened. Nobody was like, oh, that was good. I'm going to use this excuse to get out of there. There's got to be something in the editing or in the writing that you can break this up. But then again, he's writing 4 films, so maybe the intermission's going to have to happen after film number 2.
Look, if it's a 4-hour movie, give us an intermission. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's fair.
I think it's all right. It's fine. Well, I guess because the big deal is they got to cram as many viewings as they can into a day, so they will shave 10 minutes off here and there wherever they can. But it's already too long. You're only going to show it twice, so put intermissions. You know what I mean? And you'll sell more snacks.
Is that with
Someone tagged the CEO of Cinemark here.
Did we also learn that from The Offer? Did they bring that up? Did he bring that up to Ruddy? Ruddy, you got to make this shorter, or as people, you're not going to be able to get as many viewings, Ruddy.
I mean, I think they pointed it out, yeah, and that was probably a big deal then, and it's still a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still a huge deal, especially for some of the other theaters. The theaters, like, I don't think the theaters like Alamo care, right? You're dropping $100 on food. Like, we were talking about this yesterday when we went to Alamo. Like, it's almost impossible to not get something.
It is, and now they kindly do the tips for you. It's like you're in Europe, but that's cool.
And then, yeah, they give you room for the additional tips. So, but yeah, so what's your planned attack? I feel like Avatar needs a planned attack where you're going to go see this. I'm not going to see it in IMAX on screening, my first screening. I know I'm seeing it more than once. I'm guessing it's going to be 3 times, but at the minimum, it's going to be 2. My second viewing will be at the Bob Bullock IMAX. I'm trying to decide where that first viewing is going to be.
Is Bob Bullock IMAX assigned seating or no? I don't remember.
No. It is like you go old school.
Just old school rogue seating?
Yep. You just go wait in line. You get there early, and then they seat, just like you're going in the museum, and they one row at a time.
Is that next weekend it drops?
Next week it drops, yeah.
Oof, that's going to be tough for me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty booked up.
Yeah, there's no way I'm doing that on the first. I'm not doing it on opening weekend, but it's going to be playing at Bob Bullock for 2 months minimum. Yeah. It's going to have a long engagement.
I think that I would probably. I think I might do the Alamo 3D screening first.
So you're going to do that.
I think that might be the case for me. Yeah. Or, it depends. It's going to be either Alamo. This is a funny question. It's either going to be Alamo 3D or I'm going to shoot over to the AMC IMAX 3D.
Right. And yeah, I guess I'm a little bougie with my IMAXs because we know AMC and Regal both have labeled IMAX, but I just feel like the screen isn't as big, and I don't know if it's in my head or what. Well,
no, you're absolutely right.
It doesn't feel as
but
big.
Like to me, Alamo, the advantage of Alamo is, they'll bring you drinks and it's a long movie.
Yeah.
You might need to eat twice. You need an appetizer and a meal,
and
right?
A dessert,
and a dessert, coffee at the end, so you can make it to the last act.
Alamo has cookie and cocoa.
Could be that. So that's one thing, but like not just that, but also Alamo, their presentation is great. Like their projectors are maintained. Their sound is the tops. Sometimes you go to a regular movie. Sometimes you go to the regular movie theater and it's like you're in there and it's like, why is it so low? Like you can barely hear it. And then somewhere 5 minutes into the movie, the volume just shoots way up. Like someone figured it out.
I always wondered if people just went up there and told them it was too low. Just
somebody
like when
probably told them, right?
When they forget to turn the lights off,
yeah,
and everyone's looking around like, is someone going to tell them, or should I be that someone?
Yeah. One time I was sitting in a screening of a movie, and they started playing the absolute wrong movie in that theater, and it went on for about 10, 15 minutes, and I was just like, is this like an extended trailer? What's happening? And then it just cut off, and another movie started. They just no-sold it.
There's something that, and this happens a lot in corporate. When it's everybody's job, it's nobody's job. When everyone's looking around, assuming, somebody will tell them. Nobody, nobody becomes that someone. Someone's got to take that step, like Bill Murray in Stripes. Force your friend to take that step forward and cut that off. But just so you know, Bob Bullock showing Avatar: The Way of Water between December 15th all the way up to January 12th. So
yeah, if I can hold out to go to the Bob Bullock first, I might do that.
difficult.
Again, it's difficult.
It is very difficult
to get down there and to park and everything, and then like they're limited snacks, especially for a 3.5-hour movie. There's that. I like the AMC IMAX obviously because it is, it's close to me and all that. And AMC is just kind of existing on the borderline of being a crappy theater. It's probably just a notch above. Not so crappy where they forget to turn on the sound, and they've got two really nice screens, the IMAX and the Dolby screen. Those are good.
Yeah.
IMAX is the small IMAX, but it's still good. The sound in there is good. So, like that. And also, it's just a little bit, you can take your own booze in there, I don't advocate that. I don't advocate that for anyone, but like it's just, if you're on a budget and you can't go, I don't know, I ordered a beer there last night. It was $10. And then I walked away from the bar. It's like $10. And then I tipped him too. It was like, wow, for a Budweiser.
I know. It's just like I could have just got it in my little flask.
But if you go, here's a tip for all you kids. Go to the AMC and look at McShooter's Bar and see what beers they serve in a can, and then bring in your own.
I recommend cargo shorts.
Cargo shorts, sweatpants. If your lady has one of those big fashionable purses.
Oh, those are always nice.
Yeah.
If you're there on a date, just like, hey, do you have a big purse? Can you bring your big purse?
If you're going to go see Violent Night, bring a Voodoo Ranger IPA, because that's the official Violent Night beer at AMC theaters.
Yeah, that's perfect. Hey, what's up, Anthony? How are you? Just shout out to Anthony on there. Just so you know, those stickers, we got our sticker person. Our sticker person sent your stickers out today, so you should be arriving. They should be arriving there before the holiday season. So. But yeah, so I was going to give you, here's the gimmick too with Bob Bullock IMAX. They have two showings, 3:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. And then on the weekends, they add that 11:30 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to make that an opening weekend showing for sure.
One thing I know for sure, probably there will be a huge uptick in the sale of magic mushrooms that weekend. Because people, obviously, it's Avatar, it's 3D, it's a visual masterpiece, and it's 3.5 hours, so you have enough time to go through the whole cycle in the duration of the film and walk out straight.
There's just, the trailer, it's something that's perfect. Let me take you down because I'm going to Strawberry Fields. You feel that when you're watching it. The water looks mesmerizing. Did you notice this was also in Black Panther, so this is a Marvel and DC thing. The water looked kind of dirty in both. Did somebody make the call of, hey, the deeper you get in the ocean, the darker it gets, so let's make the water a little bit murky? But it didn't seem refreshing. When you see a commercial that says, come to the Bahamas, come to the Caribbean, it's all crystal blue water. That's what James Cameron's doing for Avatar. The water is crystal blue. You want to drink it. You want to swim with these whales. Don't show me dirty water. I don't need real dirty water. I want magical movie water that I can go swimming with whales.
That's fair.
That is a fair assessment, I believe. So, but it is going to be exciting. It's going to be tough. The question is, should we make the trek to Houston, Texas? It's the closest theater that has the Screen X. I talked about this a little bit before. For those of you who don't know, you can Google it. Screen X is one screen on the front, two screens on the side, so it's a triple screen effect, so it literally surrounds you in that movie. Now, it's not IMAX, so I don't know about the height and the width, but obviously the width is going to be a lot longer. It's a 3-screen experience. Is that worth it for Avatar? Because we don't know if James Cameron shot for this. We know he shot for IMAX, right? For sure. He shot for 3D and IMAX. How is that going to look? There's part of me like, that's another reason I'm like, man, maybe I am going to see this 3 times and we're going to make the trip. Hey, let's go visit, the human Wikipedia, our pro wrestling pal Wayne. And then while we're there, let's go check it out in Screen X. But I don't know. Did you look up to see what cameras that he used to shoot The Way of Water besides the ones that he had invented, including a ball
All I know
pit?
is he invented the camera, so I'm not sure what model it is.
Let's see, Avatar. And they are committing to, everybody's getting rid of numbers in there. There's no Avatar 2. It's just Avatar, The Way of Water. Oh, ray tracing. I don't know is that what that's called? Anthony, I don't know if it's called ray tracing, but they showed him in the ball pit, and they were swimming in the ball pit to mimic water. Although there was some stuff that they shot in the water. In our short that's dropping tomorrow, we got that close-up of Kate Winslet doing this butterfly thing, and that was literally her shooting underwater. Oh, you want a cool fact about
cool
Kate Winslet? Let me just see if I can pull this up. Let me just blast through all these pop-ups. Ready for it? Kate Winslet broke Tom Cruise's on-set breath-holding record while filming Avatar. How awesome is that?
I didn't realize she was in Avatar.
Yeah, she's in Avatar. Yep.
The new one?
Yep. She's in The Way of Water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Kate Winslet has said she broke Tom Cruise's on-set record for holding her breath underwater while filming Avatar, The Way of Water. The English actress stays submerged for 7 minutes and 15 seconds while filming a scene for the highly anticipated blockbuster sequel. She beat Cruise, who held his breath for 6 minutes during Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Winslet will be playing Met Kenya matriarch Ronal in the upcoming film, says she has video evidence of the achievement, which has been taken by her husband, who has sneaked it on the set during production.
How is that even possible?
I mean, I still think it's like you're submerged, but you're not holding your breath that long, right?
It could. Yeah, you can't do that. Is that really possible?
She said, I have video of me surfacing saying, am I dead? Have I died? And then going, what was it? Straight away, I wanted to know my time. Oh my God. Speaking at a global press conference ahead of her film's launch, she said, I actually have video when I surfaced from that breath hold, and the only reason I have it is because my husband snuck it in. I said, please don't come because I don't want you videoing. I just feel pressure. You please don't do that. And he snuck in and did it anyway. That's great. I definitely want to see it. Yeah. Like Anthony said, 1 to 2 minutes is generally like what a human can do, like on a free dive. But then again, can you stay underwater that long and just keep getting air? Like, I don't understand the pressure. Like, I do the hyperbaric oxygen chambers. I do that every other week, and I'm under there, and you got to do the pressurizing when you're there. But you usually can't go like more than 60 to 90 minutes. But I've never done. Have you ever been scuba diving?
No, I've never been scuba diving.
I've never been scuba diving either, so I don't know the gist of it. Anthony says natives of the small community are able to go for like 10 minutes. That's crazy.
So I got a breaking news I'm just seeing on the internet. I think this is just relevant to the things we talk about in general. Come back to Avatar in a second.
Yeah.
So it just got announced. No Wonder Woman 3 is moving forward at Warner Brothers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a huge scoop.
Yeah. Hollywood Reporter just reported it. Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 not moving forward as DC movies hit turning point.
So does that mean no Gal Gadot or just no Wonder Woman 3?
I think that means no more Wonder Woman 3. No more this version of Wonder Woman.
Wow. And that's hot off the heels of, you're seeing a lot of buzz right now that Black Adam is a bomb.
Yeah.
Financially, it's a bomb.
Yeah.
The fans liked it, but it's not. It's barely going to break even. So they're saying it's not going to break even, but there's people in the camp that said it's going to break even. So
Well, the thing is, once you break even, you lose because of the marketing. You spend so much on marketing. But I think Gal Gadot wants to keep the role, but that's in doubt because they're going to have to just reset the table, start over. It sounds like.
Oh, nice. There's Anthony. We'll give him the drum roll. Black Adam hit rock bottom.
That's solid. That's solid.
That is solid. Well done.
Send us more jokes, Anthony. We need them.
That's going to be really interesting because if Black Adam hit rock bottom, as Anthony put it, we have Henry Cavill in doubt as Superman.
Henry
again.
Cavill, what a year he's had. He lost all his roles at once.
Oh, yeah, because Witcher has their prequel
He
coming
walked
out.
on the Witcher because he thought Superman was about to come back.
Wow.
And now that's in doubt. Like nothing. It's going to be, I think DC is in a weird spot because they have all these movies in the can that they're holding on to for some reason.
Yeah, they're in a very weird spot.
They're holding on to them in the long term. Like, what is it? Aquaman's not till next Christmas?
Yeah, that's next Christmas.
And they've got a whole year of releasing these movies when they're not going to go in that direction at all anyway.
And the same thing with Flashpoint, right? With the Flash, I know there's, with all his legal problems, Ezra Miller, they're holding on to it. But that was going to be their pivot point of, like, creating this multiverse. They're going to have to stab. But in the meantime, now you have James Gunn coming out here. And the only thing that James Gunn has officially put out there in the Twitterverse was him in a planning meeting, and it showed old school Justice League, like planning the future, and then the Blue Beetle poster dropped. Mm-hmm. That was all that they've said. Nothing about Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, right there, Triad. Their Triad and True were not announced at all. And Peacemaker 2, I think he made a little bit of rumblings that it's still going to be happening. So it's going to be an interesting year for DC for writing this ship and getting James Gunn involved. Now, thinking back, do you think they should have just said, screw it, restore the Snyderverse? At least we would have had something because something was better than nothing? Because this half Snyderverse, half not Snyderverse clearly didn't work.
Well, yeah, this is kind of a mess. But what they should do is just go ahead and release those movies now and just be done with them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously those things are tied up in contracts. People are supposed to get portions of the profits. But they're trying to start over, and now we're going to have to wait. They're going to have to push these movies for another year.
Yeah, that's
and spend money on marketing. It's a weird spot, and I think the rumor is James Gunn's looking into doing Kingdom Come.
Oh, yep, that was it. Yep, Kingdom Come.
But
well, just a FYI, I know we got like 7 minutes, so we're going to get our live correspondent actually calling in around 7:30 to give us a live AEW report from Austin, Texas. So
okay,
well, we've got about 6 minutes. Here's what I would do. Jumping back to James Gunn in DC, I would let him screen these films, which he probably has. And I would love it. You're a writer. We write, we create. I would love the challenge of, like, I need you to create a bridge film to these other two films that had nothing to do with what came before, but it's going to make sense for where we're going with this. Like a bridge film that's going to help. Because you probably can shoot something in time to do that. To make this make sense. Or somehow shoot a bridge film, a post-bridge film, to make why these other films exist at all. Because you can't, do you take them as a tax write-off and just say, screw it? But I mean, do you do that with Jason Momoa? Because Aquaman, because I think the first Aquaman did really well because he's a really likable actor. The issue that they don't have was but other than Ezra Miller, they booked all likable actors. They booked the right people. They just didn't book the right people behind the scenes. Is there a property or something that exists that can help these films make sense, that you can bow tie them off and then continue on so it doesn't feel like you lost any time? Is that even possible?
I think an attempt to do that would only worsen the situation they're currently in.
Yeah.
I think their only option is to just cut it off and start fresh. Start from the bottom up.
Just rip the Band-Aid. So now you're talking like complete new booking of actors, creators, everything?
It has to be. I think it has to be.
So this is a very big of what happens a lot of times in in startup tech world, right? The question is, you have so much tech debt, you get into maintenance mode, and then you have to decide, do we just continue to stay in maintenance mode, or do we just scrap the whole platform and we re-platform to something new so everybody's caught up. You're saying re-platform may be cheaper and more sensible in the long run.
I think so.
Yeah. It's the only thing that's unfortunate for that is the actors playing these characters are so well liked. But I think people would get over it. Because you'd still have the people that are like, I do want to see it, because James Gunn has enough goodwill that I think people are going to trust him. That's one thing that they finally booked right on the back end. Book somebody that the fans trust, that you're going to send us in the right direction, because James Gunn, between Peacemaker and Guardians of the Galaxy, he made two of the most likable properties on both sides, DC and Marvel. That holiday special was fantastic. I've already watched it 3 times. It is like another Like Violent Night. It's something that you're going to keep watching. Peacemaker, we're chomping at the bit to see season 2. So have James Gunn come out, give you the State of the Union. We love these characters, but we need to start fresh. Because you're right, maintaining whatever this fractured universe is, it's a very fractured universe because they did not restore the Snyderverse, because what they did was they put it as an asterisk, and that stinks. So I think I'm leaning a lot towards you. Scrap it, and let's start fresh. Do you want to take a quick BRB, so then when Eric comes on, we'll be ready to rock and roll with our live report from AEW Dynamite?
Sure, sounds good.
All right, we will be back.
Got a Christmas story to tell, and you really want to tell it well. Get it, don't forget it, from Kodak Film. You'll feel better when you say, I got it.
Every picture tells a story. Capture the color of Christmas this year on fresh Kodak film.
I got it! I got it!
Kodak wishes you some merry, merry pictures.
Atari would like to thank you for taking us into your homes. We wish you all a happy holiday.
Hi, how are you again?
I have some last-minute gift problems.
Don't worry. Hickory Farms has over 100 gift packs. Gifts with mild cheddar cheese, smoky bar cheese. We are the super cheese market.
Yes, but
and Hickory Farms specialties like beef stick and sweet hot mustard.
Look, I'll just put myself in your hands.
Okay. Let's see. It's 14 elves.
Mm-hmm.
How many reindeer?
Well, there's Dasher and Dancer and Prancer.
Merry Christmas, Merry, Merry Christmas from your Kmart Christmas store. Save on sweaters and on hats, bowling balls and baseball bats.
Cameras, TVs, bikes and plants, goldfish, bath toys, slippers, pants.
Mirrors, dresses, perfume, socks, toasters, roasters, robes and clocks. Candy, records, films and toys at Santa Land for girls and boys. Christmas smiles light every place at Kmart's Christmas saving place.
Friday.
All right, Eric, there's Mario on there, so he'll be asking questions too. But yeah, we're just doing that. Like what we were just...
Mics are hot. We're ready to go.
All right, welcome back. So we have our friend Eric here live at the HEB Center in Cedar Park with a live AEW Dynamite report. Eric, are you there?
I'm here.
What's up, man? How are you?
Not much, man. Doing good. Yeah, doing good.
Good. So we did not hit the show, but we were glad that you were able to hit the show there so you can give us a live report. So far, you were that we're halfway, quarter way through Dynamite, but you were saying that nothing broke on AEW Dark or Dark Elevation. It was just a lot of local talent.
Yeah, it was a lot of squash matches. Not, Best Friends was on, Athena, so nothing of great significance. But the start of the show was really good. I mean, you had the Battle Royal, which was pretty good. You ended up with Ricky Starks at the end with Matt Hardy. Ricky Starks ended up winning that, and then MJF came out and confronted Ricky Starks, and a great promo between the two of them. MJF calling him wannabe Rock, and called him Pebble and stuff. And then he started calling MJF Maxi Pad. A lot of participation from the crowd. called him a half-wit Roddy Piper. So some really, really good exchanges on the microphone between those two. I think those two are excellent.
Yeah.
With their promo work, crowd was really into it. But like I was telling you earlier, for an Austin crowd, I mean, I've been to every AEW show so far, and it's been packed from wall to wall. There's probably 4 open sections right now.
Wow.
They had to move people around just to make it look like it was. Maybe it's because of the holidays, maybe just because booking's been a little suspect lately, but. Not sure. It's definitely kind of out of its honeymoon period now.
How's the crowd energy? They seem into it?
Yeah, it's an Austin crowd. Everybody's going nuts. I mean, a lot of participation, a lot of chants, a lot cheering. You got Jesus and Santa Claus in the crowd.
Oh, they are there. Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Jesus is there, so things are still holding together.
I mean, the hardcore wrestling fans are going to show up no matter what. Yeah, it's just the other people.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, but I like that at least that. Look, if this is a downswing in their business, this is an opportunity for people like MJF, and Ricky Starks to elevate their game, right?
Yeah,
and it sounds.
I think there's a lot of talent that's underutilized. Tony Stark signed too many people, in my opinion. There wasn't enough TV time for everybody.
You called him Tony Starks,
but you're right. I mean, in a way, right? He is the billionaire who has a lot of toys.
Yeah, exactly.
So understandable, but I am glad to do that. But you're right. I mean, we still talked about why they didn't put the trios belt on the Best Friends and start elevating the talent that has been there with them all along.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent that they need to use, especially the women's side. That was just kind of a lot of stuff was overlooked for a while. So
yeah, did they announce what the main event's going to be there tonight?
I thought it was this battle royal, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's coming up next. Actually, I'm in this different section, at home section, overlooking everything.
Oh, okay.
So
you always find good seats too. I feel like every time, Mario, just so you know, every time Eric goes to a wrestling event, you see him on TV.
All right, so Samoa Joe's coming out right now.
Oh, okay. Is he getting a good response?
Yeah, like I said, it's like the place is going nuts, but it's just not full.
Yeah. Dang, that's a shame. I wish that, and it was strange. We tried to get correspondence with them going, and they didn't reply to us. And we kind of let it slip through the cracks, and I'm like, okay, they'll call. And it was one of those things they just never called. But then again, I don't know if they do the scrums after TV shows like they do on pay-per-views.
Yeah, I don't think they do. But
yeah. And I don't know if so I know today's Moxley's birthday, so I expect them to hopefully do something live with him if he is there. To kind of get that crowd.
Yeah, he is advertised to be on. So
okay, cool.
So we'll see what happens later. But if you want, I'll send you a text later. Maybe you guys can get me on again later if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. I don't want you to stay in there, but thanks for giving us the live report. But yeah, if you can keep the pictures coming whenever you can, we'll show them up on the screen.
Yeah, sounds good. Love your show, guys.
All right, thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
Y'all soon.
All right, take care. See ya. Bye. All right.
Nice.
That was a live report from Cedar Park, Texas for the live AEW Dynamite. As suspected, sounds like there's some tickets that were still available. I think we were just talking about this with DC. Is this the time for AEW to do a re-platforming of their product?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. It needs something. It needs some help at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say where they're at. It's hard to pin. I mean, you can nitpick and point at things, but where is the center of their current issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in the back more than it's in front. This is you can't say they don't have the talent, but how do you book that talent is more important. They've always been a little bit off with their timing when they have somebody that's over, as far as helping to elevate these people going to the next level. And I think the biggest one just happened. I mean, MJF's got the main belt. He's one of the best, if not the best, people on the mic. Does it feel are you ready to slump down some cash to see MJF versus blank on a pay-per-view? And did you hear his promo? He's like, I am a generational talent. I am a special attraction. He compared, he didn't say this, but he compared himself basically to the Andre the Giant, Brock Lesnar. You're not going to see me wrestle on TV. You're going to have to pay money on a pay-per-view to watch me until I continue to ply my trade here until the bidding war of 2024, and I go to the con that's got the money and trips. Like, and he called it out. So I don't know. I would like to see them do a reboot in January 2023. Sorry, let me.
What happened?
Oh no, I was. We were still connecting there with Eric.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was just doing that. So we may try to give him another jump in here and see if we can get him to do another. Samoa Joe was coming to the ring, so we heard the dapper yapper, so it was hard to hear him.
Yeah.
Coming.
Was he just talking from his seat?
No, he actually went up to like near the suites on the section, like when you see Mox coming out. He was like up in that upper section, so I know it was a little tougher. But we heard him pretty well, so that was good. So it was good to hear that Jesus was in the house still, right? Because if Jesus
is still a fan.
Yeah, Jesus is still a fan, and it sounds like he bought a friend. You know, he brought Santa Claus, so I expect them to have a match afterwards. So, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Oh man, yeah. Eric's got a couple of nicknames he picked up on the Tony Starks. He actually has another nickname, but we'll stay monetized for Tony Khan. So we'll see how that goes. But let's give the office here. Oh, Samoa Joe versus Darby right now. Darby's taking some brutal bumps. Here's my concern with that. Sorry, I was going to jump, but I'm going to stay here for one more second. These guys are going to work a lot harder now, and I don't want anybody to go overboard like someone like Darby taking bumps to try to save the show with like crazy bumps. Like, we need personal issues. We're going to go right back to that, and it needs to not feel. You need produced segments that don't feel produced. You need stuff that feels organic. Go back, watch Tales from the Territory. We were talking about this with Wayne earlier. How did you find a way where all these territories had so little shine, yet so much magic? That's what's missing. They need to, go back to your roots, go back to basics, get back in there and do that special, quirky stuff that makes professional wrestling special. WWE's doing it again, even though they got the shine. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll have Eric continue to keep tabs on that. So let's jump over to our next spot. We're going to be talking about retro review. Terror Tuesday, because today is Wednesday. Last night we got a screening of the 1988 film The Blob. So you gave me a very interesting reaction when the movie ended and the title started rolling. You said, "I remember there being more Blob in the Blob."
Didn't it seem like it was low on Blob? They introed the movie as having a really big budget, which I didn't remember that it was a big budgeted movie. But when you watch it, you can see it's there. Very big cinematography. I guess the effects are pretty state-of-the-art for their time. But it seemed like we only got a few shots of the Blob.
Yeah, so it had a budget of 10 million recorded, right? And then it made 8 million domestic. I feel like this was a perfect movie for the time. It did, even though it was a lot less Blob, you still got that feeling of like you did with the Stuff. Because it really was hard to make this jello thing the main heel to make it feel important, so that you would have thought they would have gave that more Blob. But I don't know. I was okay with the amount of Blob.
You were okay with the amount of Blob.
I was okay.
I was fine with it.
Yeah.
It was still an entertaining film. It was good. I just remember there being more Blob, and I thought it was a little Blob light. Light on Blob.
Oh, there we go. There's our short. It's Light on Blob. Fun fact, it was filmed in Abbeville, Louisiana. theatrically released in August 88 by TriStar Pictures. Considered a failure at the time, though it's received mixed response from critics, the film has since accrued a cult following. I'm shocked that for the time period, but maybe this was when things were changing, right? Was it late 80s going into the early 90s? Isn't that whole, horror is very cyclical? Is 88 and 89, isn't that when it started to die down a little bit, the horror genre? Maybe it was affected by that?
What do you mean?
I just, for this film to, not do well, I remember...
It didn't do well?
It's considered a failure, yeah.
I guess it was an expensive movie for the time.
Yeah, but this was one of the few movies that to date myself, but I don't have to because you see the gray on my face. I actually got to see this in a drive-in because I was like, how cool. My aunt wants to take us to see this horror movie, and she's like, I want to see this in the drive-in because that's how I saw the original Blob, was going to see that in a drive-in. So, and obviously she saw it on a re-release, but she still wanted to see it in a drive-in. When you saw this in the drive-in, and I just remember, it's like, I didn't even know where that guy kind of looked like Matt Dillon. It's like, that's his brother Kevin. I mean, I just remember the action, the story, everything about it. It feels 80, but I just remember enjoying the hell out of this when I first saw it in the drive-in, and I enjoyed it last night.
Can we talk about Kevin Dillon for a moment?
Yeah.
Kevin Dillon kind of looks in this movie like a Muppet Babies version of Matt Dillon. Just like a smaller, less cooked version of Matt Dillon, right? Skinnier and shorter.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. We were coming, Matt Dillon was a star by then, right? We all knew him from, The Outsiders. Everyone knew who Matt Dillon was. We're going back and know him from My Bodyguard. He was the star. He was the heartthrob. So getting Kevin, it definitely felt that Frank Stallone feel at the time. But now, Johnny Drama is beloved. He's a international treasure. He's an HBO icon. He was great in Entourage. So to see this, I kind of felt like his career in Entourage helped enhance the Blob, because in my mind and in my heart, I don't picture that as Kevin Dillon playing Flag, which is a great 80s name, in the Blob. I picture Johnny Drama playing Flag
100%.
in there. So I felt like that almost adds to the experience. They had Shawnee Smith, who I feel like she was in a lot of other meetings. I guess she was considered the lead in this film, right? Were she considered the main protagonist? Would you call her that? Because that's the way Joe from America Film Genre Archive booked it.
Yeah, I think she would be the lead. We see her first. We see her way before Johnny Drama.
He called her Ripley Jr. So I thought that was, and I was like, okay, because I thinking back, and again, I was younger when I saw this, so I couldn't really remember. But she's like, I remembered, I was thinking Kevin Dillon was the lead, but he's like, no. Shawnee Smith played the Steve McQueen character in The Blob. And then rewatching it yesterday, I was like, okay, yeah, I think he's right, because Shawnee Smith she even had that scene where she, with the bomb, and she threw it, and then she goes to dive, and then her foot gets caught. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess she really was, she was the Steve McQueen character. I enjoyed, where else? That's where I know her from. Summer School.
Summer School, yes.
She was great in Summer School.
Yeah.
And that was actually before The Blob. Mm-hmm. She was also in Iron Eagle. But yeah, I always think, when I think of her, I think of Summer School. So when I saw that it's booking her in there, a lot more comedy than I remembered. Do you remember a lot of that comedy in the beginning? Because I don't think you'd consider it a horror comedy.
No, it just had that Spielbergian kind of thing, where you throw in some funny moments.
Dude, can you trademark that? Because you just cleared up so many questions in my head that it's that is a Spielberg thing.
Spielbergian?
Yeah, Spielbergian does that. And then M. Night Shyamalan, who's influenced by Spielberg, he does that too. And he got it from Spielberg, but that's exactly what it was. The whole the dad is the pharmacist, and then they buy the ribbed condoms. And then later on, he goes to pick up his date, and the newspaper drops, and it's the dad who was, and he realized, and he calls ribbed. And it got the big pop in the theaters. There was a good amount of pops, but I think Terror Tuesday is always good for pops. But there was a lot of good Spielbergian comedy in here. I also enjoyed the vibe. It did create that same type of vibe of kind of like, you can tell there's the green screen effect behind the blob, and then running out of the theater and doing the behind look every time. I sent you the music that I was listening to on the way home from the original Blob. That's how you always picture it. But I picture it not from watching the original Blob, but watching Grease characters in the movie Grease watching the Blob at the drive-in.
Were they watching the Blob? I don't
They were
remember
watching
that.
the Blob. So that's how I always pictured it. It's like, so when I think of the Blob, I think of drive-ins. So that would have been the only thing that would have added to this experience of Terror Tuesday, of seeing this outside. I'm surprised. Maybe we bring back, we petition for them to bring back Rolling Roadshow, and everything that you eat is gelatinous. It's like, we're going to serve you Jell-O. We're going to serve you tapioca. There's going to be Jell-O wrestling. We'll fill up kiddie pools with Jell-O. That would be a sticky Rolling Roadshow. But yeah, I'll give you the official. I don't think I actually have the. No, it's definitely one of those movies that. But I think we all know the synopsis of the Blob. A meteorite falls from space, cracks open, little piece of jelly goes it, lands on the homeless guy's finger, takes over his hand. He runs into town, infects the town. So it's basically a biological warfare, but the biology, the germ is external. And then you go back and they find out that it's man-made and it's it's germ warfare, but it's on the outside, which probably works a little bit better than actually a smart gelatinous amoeba killing people from space. But I was happy with any of all the explaining away of why this happened. Is there anything that stood out to you that you did not dig?
No, I mean, I like the movie as a whole. I think it works great. It's a lot of fun. Kevin Dillon has a lot of charisma. Shawnee Smith is just, is it, how do you describe someone who just looks like they look like the era they're from? Because she looks like the 80s.
Yes.
If the 80s was a lady. And that's why, she's been in a lot of 80 films or whatever, but she just has that look. She starts out at the cheerleader. Love the very 80s sort of like inappropriate stuff.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I don't know, the guy with the full bar in his trunk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cool guy. But of course, he turns out not to be so cool guy. But anyway, we'll just get past that. But
yeah, I'm surprised
80s films suffer from that.
Yeah, there's so many 80s films that are sex crimes. You can do a whole documentary on that. But yeah, because I thought for I'd like, of course, being a younger kid, I don't really remember any of this stuff. But then you think like Animal House, and you're like, oh no. I thought for sure, I was like, is he going to drop was there a roofie scene in this movie? Is like literally that's what's going to happen? And I was like, oh man, this is not good. But at least you got to give it that the payoff was there. Like he paid with his life for his dastardly deed. Did you know the original Blob was Steve McQueen's first feature film and first leading role?
I didn't know that it was his first. I thought I knew it was an early one for him.
Yeah, so it was distributed by Paramount and played as a double feature with I Married a Monster from Outer Space. I guess in the 50s you think of like Martians and outer space. That was their slasher eras of movies. But yeah, all in all, I look, America Genre Film Archive, am I saying it right? The AGFA.
Yeah.
They always deliver like everything about, like they just make their films that they get special. Like he's a great hype man. Mm-hmm. Like he just, like his excitement makes you excited. And like you had the guy next to us, like he laughed so much. Like he was like, every part of it, like he was just like enjoying. There was nobody that wasn't enjoying themselves there. So, the funny line was that I remembered even as a kid. It popped me as a kid when you're like, "We can't get through that door. I don't have a key. It's locked." And then he has the brick, and he's like, "Don't worry, I got a key." And that always stuck with me. And I remember being a kid, I was like, "Oh man, that's so badass." What about the reveal? Basically the finish, the go home spot for them, where they were leading up to the weakness of the Blob was being frozen, like he couldn't handle the cold, and that always kind of stuck with me that they blew up, the snowmaker, but then somehow that snowmaker made the whole town snow. Like, did you get the feeling that seeded the cloud? Or there was just that much liquid nitrogen?
I don't know how those snowmakers even work, so I couldn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually the Blob was just covered in liquid nitrogen? Is that what happened?
Yeah, and that was it. And then he was frozen, and they had to get it to the ice box before it thawed out.
Yeah, I don't know.
It felt like.
So then, what did they do with is the ice just sitting in an ice box somewhere right now?
Yeah, so the Blob is somewhere in a freezer that hopefully has redundant power and can never defrost. Hey, Mike, what's up? Yes, exactly. You did just walk in on a Blob review.
Can I ask a question? What did Flag do to anybody? He basically just smokes and rides a motorcycle. They said he's a punk, but what did he really do wrong? They give no. There's no proof of that, and the cops just don't like him.
He did know that. Yeah, that deputy. The deputy liked him even more.
Did you recognize who the deputy was?
Yeah, so I did, but so that was Paul McCrane. But like, where? So what was when you think of him? Like, what is it? Do you think RoboCop?
Yes, that's Toxic Waste Guy from RoboCop.
Okay, yeah. So I was wondering if that's what you think of him, because I know he was in a lot of other shows, but when you saw him. I guess maybe that adds to the whole 80s aesthetic, is he was the RoboCop. When you think RoboCop, you think 80s, right? So that really added to it. So that was really good booking, bringing him in there. Mike is saying, yeah, reboot the Blob. Can you do another Blob? It would be interesting to do a new Blob.
Well, it's funny because if you think about it, they even mentioned in the intro, they redid The Fly, they redid The Thing.
Yep.
And then, so, what was it, Universal?
Yep, it's Universal.
Universal's like, okay, well, we own The Blob. Should we do The Blob? Yeah, that's an IP. That's a thing. Let's do The Blob. That's classic. And they did a big, expensive Blob movie. And, well, I guess it's a failure. So, I don't know. If you did it now, could The Blob get over in modern times when people have cell phones and Google?
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how they would try to do it, but you have to bring back Flag.
Yeah,
you have to bring back. To me, I think it just needs to be the Regal, and just like go off of that story, because I'd be curious, because it had a beautiful 80s ending. It's
ending was really good. I like the ending a lot.
So it kind of had, I would say it had one of the first post-trailer scenes, but they didn't do it in that post-credit stinger, because you had the beautiful snow at the end, and they're like, come on, let's get this thing in the icebox before it defrosts. And then that could have ended, and if it was made today, post-credit scene would have been the priest with one eye talking about, the Lord's gonna let me know when this needs to happen again. And he had his Blob that he got, and he kept it in a jar, and I was like, that would be your post-credit stinger. We need to see that old preacher come back and look at the modern world and say, 2022, things have been screwed up on this planet since 2016. It's time. And he releases the Blob, and there's your requel.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's Old Man Flag, major power outage, the Blob has thawed. There it is, thawed. The Blob 2, thawed.
Yeah. Perfect.
I would love to see it. I was actually trying to go through and find out, like, you're absolutely right. What did Flag do? Like, why did they hit, like, that deputy was ready to just, like, blow him out of his sneakers? Is that what he said? I will blow you out of your shoes.
Meanwhile, there's jocks trying to date rape girls.
Yeah. And that's
where are the police in that one? Flag just smokes. And he's got that real sort of like immature, childlike way of smoking. Like holds the cigarette like that. Smokes it all the way down to the nub.
Oh man, I'm glad Mike said this. I had no idea that we were going to Regal boot this, and we were going to get Old Man Flag. Blew him out of his sneakers. We were going to get Old Man Flag. We were going to get a thawed Blob. There's just so much you can do. That Preacher is going to be like the main heel. There's so much that could happen here. I support a diligent smoker. But yeah, Brian Flag, that was his name. Very, very 80s feeling name. But I think, do you feel like Kevin Dillon has enough zeitgeist credit that you would be able to book him safely in the Blob 2? Is it something that would go directly to Max? Do you make it a 6-episode limited series?
No, not everything needs to be a series.
No, this is just a film.
Yeah, just maybe a one-off Regal boot straight to Peacock.
Okay,
get behind that.
I think you can do this more affordable too, right? Because back then the effects were probably way more difficult. You can probably pull that off pretty safely right now.
No, that was all practical Jello that they were just playing in reverse.
I normally don't hear on the scenes that you pop. I pop a lot more than you pop, but I felt like I heard you pop when they did a Blob scene and then they did the hard cut to the kid sucking the Jello.
Yeah, it's a great cut.
I heard you pop on that, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So that was more of a, was that a fan pop or a filmmaker pop?
That was a filmmaker pop.
That was a filmmaker pop. Okay,
nice shot, right from the Blob to the Jello. It's just like who does when you nail those transitions, those real sort of like shot to shot things where you line up a perfect cut like that. Yeah, I pop for those big.
Yeah,
right from the Blob. What was the Blob doing? The Blob was sucking on a guy.
Yeah,
right to a guy sucking on a Blob. So a kid sucking up that Jello blob. Hey, what's up, Lee?
Lee, what's up, brother? Where's the smoking eyewear? I got your.
That's right. Lee got me some sunglasses for my birthday. I do have them. They're a little dark in the studio, but I can't see my keys. But I appreciate them. I love them. They're great.
Yes, awesome. So we're still getting, and guys, just so you know, we had a live correspondent for the AEW Dynamite show here in Austin, Texas. We didn't make it, but we have a man on the inside, Eric. So he was on a call. So he's still texting. I'm checking out that on the phone while we're doing that as well. So just so you know, Mox versus Hager is happening, and Hager's hat is way over. Love that hat. And he's also getting We the People chance. So we're going to continue to do that live report, which I guess you guys can watch along on TV. We can't watch it, but we got a man on the inside that's doing that. But I'm trying to go. I was going through the cast here of the Blob, and I feel like it's a slam dunk. You can get Shawnee Smith back. You can get Kevin Dillon back. You can't get Deputy Briggs back because he did get reverse snapped in half, didn't he?
Is that how he went out?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He got pulled. I feel like he had a little bit of his babyface turn too, right? He was like a full-on heel. Like you could see him in the Thing. He felt like he's the guy like with that mustache. Like, oh yeah, he could be in the Thing. He can be in the Warriors. He had that look. And then he was ready to blow Flag out of his shoes. And then he realized that the guys in the suits were pointing the gun and then he switched the gun. And then I feel like he had a little bit of a babyface turn. And then they snapped him in half. So that was very 80s. Another thing that was it's very taboo, but I guess they're starting to do it again after it, is that kid that was somewhat of a likable kid. I mean, he was a little punk, but like not in a like, oh, I hope that punk kid gets killed. Like they took him out in the sewer. Like he had a jump scare, like his face was completely melted. Yeah, reverse snapped in half, had his baby face turned. That's right. And podcast did agree with that.
Are you talking about the kid that was trying to go see Garden Tool Massacre?
Got a Garden Tool Massacre, yeah. Oh my God! Then you can actually do a Regal boot of Garden Tool Massacre too, as well. Like you can actually get meta with it and have that going at the same time. That did feel like Garden Tool Massacre. Did that not remind you of that Geico commercial? Head for the cemetery. When you're in a horror movie, you make bad decisions.
When I was watching it, I realized the scene in the movie theater they've played in Alamo 1,000 times because they do that. They use that as a "Don't Talk in the Theater" promo.
Oh yeah, and she did actually call that out, right? Because he was, man, that's right.
When the guy's like, he hot curls her to death. But yeah, I had seen that clip 1,000 times. I didn't realize it was from the Blob.
Yeah, that was great. So, thumbs up. Thank you for convincing me. I know we were super swamped yesterday, but when she said it's Blob, I was like, we're making this happen. We are going to go see that. And then we got Orphan next week if we wanted to try to pull that off again.
I've never seen Orphan.
Yeah, so maybe that it's not an old movie if we've never seen it before. Facts. All right, let's close out our Blob gimmick. And let's jump to another iconic film from the 80s. This is the film series, Indiana Jones. So since we brought this up, Indiana Jones and the unrelated, you cut a hot promo on Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls. Hot promo, calling it hot garbage. Cut a promo on it, and then we didn't even know the next day. The Dial of Destiny trailer drops. Like, we had no idea that was going to happen. We did not plan that. That was, there it is, full circle. We dialed Destiny, and we got it. So, let's go over that Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny trailer. What was your first reaction?
So, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny trailer. Not the worst thing ever. I can leave some hope open for it, but I've been hurt before. It's hard for me to trust Indiana Jones again.
Yeah, that last one left a lot to be desired.
Did you know? I had no idea. Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, when he did Raiders of the Lost Ark, he was 39.
He was 39 already? Wow.
He was 39 in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, I didn't know. I did not know that.
So what does that make him today? He's 80.
Yeah, he's 80.
He's an 80-year-old Indiana Jones. There's obviously a lot of deep fakes going on in there.
Beautiful deep fakes in the trailer. I fell for it at first. I saw it and I'm like, oh wait, that scene didn't happen. They deep faked it, and it looked really good.
They did deep fake a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be good. One thing that I found concerning is they got the new sidekick. I guess she's a sidekick, Phoebe Waller-Bridgers.
Yeah, I feel like she is going to be the sidekick.
So they've got her in the thing. And what I found odd was in the trailer, they don't let her say a word.
Nope. She just got facial reactions.
She doesn't say a single word in the trailer, so that seems strange. Or maybe this is the first trailer, so maybe we'll get more later.
Yeah, that was a straight up teaser, right?
Yeah.
They definitely leaned heavy into the nostalgia. I missed the desert. I missed the sea. You had what's his name? He was the other returning character that was coming back in here. So are you nervous about the time travel? Like, the rumor is it's a time travel gimmick. They did not commit to that's what's happening, but if you call it the Dial of Destiny, and when you had old man Indiana Jones said those days are long behind us, and then he's like, but what if they're not? And then the title's called Dial of Destiny. It's clearly pointing to time travel. Does that make you nervous?
Not really. Whatever the topic is, whatever it's about, I'm not super worried about that. Just about the execution, how it's going to go. I imagine if they're doing time travel, we're going to get young Indiana Jones adventures with the de-aged Harrison Ford.
Not the River Phoenix young Indiana Jones. We're going to get
a de-aged Harrison Ford. I'm okay with it if it works. Yeah. It's just a matter of whether it all comes together. I don't know what went wrong on Crystal Skulls. Again, like I said, I don't think Steven Spielberg was even there. They might have had like an iPad on a robot body, like in Arrested Development, where he's watching. But
so Indiana Jones Cyberpunk, yeah, maybe.
So I don't know. I would like for them to find a nice way to wrap it all up.
Well, they've Disney made, I don't know if this was an official announcement, but it's been said that this is the last Indiana Jones. There's going to be no recasting, that this is it for Indiana Jones. So it's going to be really interesting if Harrison Ford is going to do the same thing he did with Han Solo. It's like, I need to die. I need my character to die. I don't know if he's going to take himself out. But they leaned heavy into the nostalgia, right? So Phoebe Waller-Bridger, she's Helena, which is Indiana Jones' goddaughter, who is the daughter of the character from one of the original Indiana Jones. I forgot his sidekick's name. It's not Sala.
Marcus Brody.
So I think that's his granddaughter, or daughter or granddaughter. So they're tying it in there. John Rhys Davy, he's Sala. He's in the trail. So they're leaning into the heavy and the nostalgia, which it's Disney, so they're going to play it a little bit safer than George Lucas would not have played any film safe. That wasn't his MO. He's like, I'm making this film. The stories of the story. You got to take it or you got to leave it. Disney's going to lean a little bit safer into the fan service. Sometimes that works, and sometimes that doesn't work. So it's as much as you think the fan service for that term is going to be a safe bet, it might not be a safe bet for you're leaning into nostalgia, but it could backfire like it did with the Star Wars trilogy if you do not book this properly.
There's a lot that could go wrong.
A lot.
It could be the worst thing ever made. I have a little faith in the fact that we got James Mangold directing. This is the first one to not be directed by Spielberg, which I think gives the filmmaker a little more incentive to really, really do a great job.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of factors. Harrison Ford's old; he's limited. Who knows how many iterations of scripts this went through? But again, they're coming from a low bar. Crystal Skulls was hot garbage. This looks like it could not be hot garbage. And even if it's just garbage, but like room temperature
garbage,
it's an upgrade. So we could be in a safe zone as long as they wrap it up nice. Don't leave any loose threads. Don't give us teasers for other spin-offs, and just fight the urge. Just end the movie. He's 80 and now he's gonna have watch his shows.
I'll need to watch my stories.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there is a series coming, but I don't know if it's necessary. It might be in the Indiana Jones universe, not necessarily Indiana Jones. So I'm gonna put that out there. But here's what makes you feel a little bit better. Obviously, if you know James Mangold, Copland was fantastic. 3:10 to Yuma was great. Identity was great. He makes great films, but when you start getting into IPs and properties, how does he protect these? He made Logan. He made Logan under the Fox banner, which a lot of people say is not only one of the best Marvel films of all, like one of the best Marvel films across all production companies' films of all time was Logan. I mean, would you agree or disagree with that? I mean, he did very well he's like established lore, but he also went in a different direction and you had no idea what was going on, and maybe that benefited.
Wait, what's your question?
No, does that make you feel better that he took an IP? Take Wolverine.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that just him directing is a vote of confidence for the movie.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. I think that he's not going to be the weak part of the chain there if something goes wrong with this movie. I think this could be just hopefully Disney learned a little lesson with trying to please everyone, trying to do fan service,
Yeah.
I just don't think that's necessary. Just close out the story, make it a solid, all-around, entertaining film. Because the thing is, do young people like Indiana Jones? I don't think so.
No, I don't know. I remember my parents loving. I mean, I remember loving it as a kid, but I remember my parents and my aunts and uncles being blown away by it because they've never seen anything like it before. Like, I remember Temple of Doom, they said there's just the action just like never stopped. So
Temple of Doom is probably my favorite of the series still.
yeah. Chilled monkey brains. Anthony liked him because he was a chill professor, you know. So there's that. I always think of the scene with the girl having "I love you" on her eyelids, and she was doing the slow blink. And yeah, and I think he definitely partaked to chill out. There's no way you can do everything he did and not partake.
Got to calm down after.
And I'm going to cut a little bit of a promo on the term fan service. I'm not a huge fan of the term fan service because you know what fans generally want? Continuity. This has nothing to do with, we're getting a cameo. Sure, sometimes that is part of it, but they want the continuity because, sorry, it's 2022. There's a whole world of Hollywood films that have taken place that exist in a lot of these same universes. So if you just do a little bit of this requel, boot, whatever you want to call it, to just give you that continuity so it doesn't feel like you wasted your time and emotions and just like, yeah, remember we were trying to get you to feel something? That's garbage. It doesn't mean anything anymore. That's why I don't like that term. Just give us continuity. I think they mistake continuity for fan service. Just show that, yes, we do realize this takes place. You don't have to ignore it, but you also don't have to throw it in the can either. And by the can, I mean in the garbage. Just give us the continuity. So what? It's just like in Boba Fett, people, of course, they wanted Han Solo to be in there because they'd love to see him. But it was because it was going to make you feel like everything that you felt before, like you get to bring your emotions with you. That's what true fan service is. Make it feel like we didn't waste our time and money by investing in the property that you presented to us.
I like it.
That's what I'm saying.
Mike just said heel Jeff is dope.
But it's just, it just always about, don't make me feel like I wasted my time. That's why it's a pet peeve of mine.
Well, don't pander to us.
Yeah.
We know what we like.
Yeah.
You don't have to like remind us, oh, you like this, right? You remember this thing you like?
Yeah.
Just show us something else to like.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to, it's like, look, if you're going to dabble in IP, then respect the IP. If you just like, no, we're going to do something new. Cool. Then do something completely new. Do something that's different. That's not an established IP. And then get us to go. You know, people clown on, Avatar, Blue Aliens, the writing's not good. Hey, man, no one did it before. At least it was new. If you want to say that you're going to do something new, then do something new. If you're going to do something that's not new, then use glue. All right. That's it.
Yeah. Maybe they should just do a clean reboot of the Blob. Now I'm thinking about it.
All right, but let's stay on the Indiana Jones because we were talking about this, and there's mixed emotions because it wasn't Star Wars that it just like stood the test of time. This was habanero heat. This was hot at the time, but like you said, when Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls came out, I don't even know what it made. I don't remember seeing it more than once in the theater. I had it, but I'm a little bit more nostalgic than everybody else. So we're gonna go through right now Indiana Jones 10 most iconic moments to see if it actually jugs your memory. Jug Band Christmas. Jug it, shake it loose, give it a little tap, give it The Office, give it a little flick, and see if you like, oh yeah, that's why I love Indiana Jones. So you want to go through, this will be in no particular order. I'm just going to give you 10 of them.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. I think everybody knows this first one. I'm just going to give you the face, and I'm going to give you it. Right here, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Right, that's Alfred Molina.
That was Alfred Molina?
That's Alfred Molina. Dr. Otto Octavius.
Do you have a mind-blown thing right there? I had no idea that was Dr. Otto Octavius.
Yeah, no, that's him, man.
Wow.
That was one of his first roles.
Holy smokes, that was great. Give me the amulet. I'll throw you the whip. Give me the whip. Adios. That was great. Infiltrating and then escaping the temple containing the golden idol. Everyone remembers the sand. the gimmick, the weighing. Anytime you're trying to do the weigh gimmick, you think of that. And then everyone knows the boulder. They even honored it in the Dial of Destiny trailer. You see a boulder. So I think that was our first intro to Indy, right? That was the opening scene.
Yeah.
So you knew that was coming.
I need to hijack the podcast for a second.
Yeah,
because you brought up the Dial of Destiny trailer again. There's one shot in that trailer where it looks like they're flying the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, really?
Did you not see that?
No, I didn't see that.
You didn't notice the part with the Millennium Falcon?
No.
I'm gonna have to pull that up.
Oh,
All
my
right,
goodness, I had
keep
no idea.
going through the action sequences.
Yeah, so I think that was a very memorable moment. Everyone knows the idol. Everybody knows that for Raiders Lost Ark. Okay, second most iconic scene. Chasing the antidote across the nightclub floor in Shanghai. Anything goes. I think you remember this as being something different because Marion wasn't there. It opened up the scene. He was in the white tux instead of the Indiana Jones stuff. You had she was going for the diamonds while he was going. Then the ice got spilled all over. I think it was you have fond memories of that scene?
I love that opening sequence from Temple of Doom.
Anything goes. It was perfect. Everything about it, like, because that was so much action. Then you think he escapes. You think he finally gets the antidote. And then he closes it, and then you realize that gangster also owns the plane that he's going about. So like it felt like a roller coaster ride. So, but I think anytime anybody says anything goes, I'd be lying if I said 9 times out of 10 that song's not going through my head.
Here, let me pull up the screenshot from the Dial of Destiny trailer, and you tell me
what. That looks exactly like the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Oh, wow.
You didn't catch that before?
No, I didn't until just now.
How many times did you watch that trailer?
I only watched it a couple of times. Like, I didn't watch it like a ton of times.
Looks like we got
a little crossover.
Yeah.
They're going to, maybe they are going to fan service. And it's just like, we'll at least connect you to Star Wars. But like right there, they've already did more than they did in Last Jedi to connect the past to the future. But yeah, that's very cool. I had no idea. All right, so let's go to the next iconic scene, which this was in Last Crusade. I'm just gonna say it, and I'm gonna like the two I just said were big whoppers. I'm gonna see if you think this is another whopper. No ticket.
I mean, it's a classic line,
right? I just felt like that was a big part of the line. But yeah, in Last Crusade, Indy and his father hitch a ride on the Zeppelin to get out of the lion's den, disguise himself as a ticket collector, fighting the Nazis, and get in there and throws one of the Nazis out and says, "No ticket." But that's a big gif. That's a big gif in IT too, right? If somebody tries to drive by and they're like, "Hey, can you help me with my computer?" No ticket. So I feel like that's how I noticed. So I guess it would consider it iconic. But Last Crusade came out towards the end of the 80s, right? So I felt like what we were talking about earlier with the Blob, it had the disadvantage of the time and the sensibilities of culture was changing. When we were about to get into the gritty, grimy 90s, which is a little bit different. So I feel like the Last Crusade doesn't, like, everyone feels that's a little bit more of a down film. Not as down as Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but a little bit down compared to the other two. The other two scream 80s.
I have no heat with Last Crusade.
Yeah.
I know some folks think it's not, maybe it's the least of the trilogy. I don't really think so.
No,
I got no heat with Last Crusade. I think it's a perfect trilogy. And, do you feel this as well? Like, I feel like, did you ever see that one episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they're doing Indiana Jones?
No, I didn't see that episode.
So they're doing Indiana Jones for whatever reason. They're trying to steal an idol out of some family's house, and they got the hat and the whip. And Charlie calls Indiana Jones a dumb movie, and Mac is just like terribly offended. Do you ever feel like that? Like it's almost like the smart intellectual version of other trilogies that folks are into?
Yeah, I guess you do. You can feel like that. But again, it was such a the thing about the Indiana Jones, I don't know if this answers your question, but like it spans the decade, right? So Raiders of the Lost Ark was 81, Temple of Doom was 84, Last Crusade was 89. In a way, you're dealing with 3 different film generations, right? It's bridging gaps between the 70s and the 80s, and then Temple of Doom, you're smack in the middle of the 80s, and then 89, like I was saying, you're going to a different sensibility. So there's going to be some people that jumped on late, and they're going to be like, that's dumb, because they watched it from a different lens at a different time, if that makes sense.
No, I hear you.
Yeah. So Mike's saying, no short round sours me a bit. I bet it's like Bumblebee Transforms movie, good enough for these times. It's possible. Yeah, I was really bummed out that we weren't going to get short round because we got their reunion IRL, first time they saw each other. And you're like, oh, this is a perfect time, right? He's having a little bit of a resurgence with everything all at once. So I thought it was like a slam dunk to get him in there. But it didn't. Like, if you were looking to continue the trilogy, I think people would accept, modern day short round as part of like an Indiana Jones. Like you can call it Indiana Jones, but it's like a crew of them, and you can have 2 or 3 of them, and they go on different adventures. But now they're like grown up Goonies,
right? Versus
just having the heavy being on one guy's shoulders. But is what it is. All right, next. Iconic scene. Okay, now we're going to be digging a little deeper. We're going to another level here, so I'm curious if you're going to get this. Do you remember Indiana Jones fighting the burly Luftwaffe mechanic? Remember
the guy gets
the bare-knuckled fist fight?
Yeah, he gets eaten by the propeller blade.
Yep. So would you consider that the iconic? There's a tradition in Indiana Jones movies that Indy is thrust into fist fight with men who are much larger and stronger than him. He gets his ass handed to him, provides some slapstick comedy relief before he thinks of a solution to thwart his combat. This tradition started in Raiders when Indy found himself going toe-to-toe with the burly Luftwaffe mechanic, and then, like you said, he's hopelessly outmatched. When he sees a spinning propeller coming up, he curls him up into a ball. The mechanic isn't so lucky. Turns into ketchup.
I'm going to have to cut a promo on this list because it just occurred to me. Outside of Kingdom and the Crystal Skull, is there any indie action sequence that is not iconic?
That's a good question. And to add a level A B to it, do you think there's going to be any last Kingdom of the Crystal Skull scenes on this list that are considered iconic?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Unless they're considered iconic, ironically.
That's a good question. So I only glanced through ScreenRant.com's list here, so I wanted to get the full reaction with you. So I don't know if that's true or not. I just saw the first 2, and I was sold. Anything goes. I was in. So yeah, cut a promo on the list, but let's keep going and let's save it. You might have some more fuel for later. Next one does come from Last Crusade. Sean Connery's Indy's father, Henry Jones Sr. Don't Call Me Junior. Do you consider that Don't Call Me Junior iconic? I consider Sean Connery being in Indiana Jones iconic as it is, right? Because this time people are like, wow, that's like the former James Bond is now in Indiana Jones. Like,
yeah, that's sort of the gimmick, isn't it? James Bond is Indiana Jones's dad.
Yeah. And that worked really well. I would have considered more, and I don't know if that's on the list of them being tied up back to back and then trying to blow the fire out, more iconic. But as a pro wrestling channel, that's one of the things we cover here. I believe this is where Chris Jericho got his insult of calling people junior back in his WWE days, and Vince McMahon loved it because in real life, Vince McMahon, who's a junior, hated to be called junior. So when Chris Jericho called somebody, listen up, junior, Vince is like, ha ha, junior, I love that. Keep using it. So we have Indiana Jones to thank for one of Chris Jericho's many, many gems that he's provided to pro wrestling. So it's iconic in a sense from a certain point of view. All right. Next one. Yeah, I would say hands down, this is one, and you're going to get it too. Which, by the way, Man, I don't know if you have that list in front of you, but if you find that picture, Harrison Ford is packing some guns in this when he chopped down that rope bridge in Temple of Doom. And I don't remember the exact line, but it was great. He said something to the lines of, "You're going to see him in hell." And he had the machete and he started chopping the rope bridge.
He says, Mugaram, prepare to meet Kali in hell.
Yeah, that was a great line.
He is pretty jacked in the footage.
Yeah, look at that. Holy smokes. He's got those carpenter arms. Estaba fuerte. Yes, that is true. Yes, Y2K was full of hot air. But that sword scene was so good because it's not what you expected. And it really did so good. And he did the chop and then the people falling. It was just like, that was so much action in there. And funny enough, my brothers and I, when we used to wrestle each other, we used to use that same move. Then my dad tried to do it to us as well when we were just like screwing around wrestling. They tried to do I'm going to pull your heart out of your chest. So it was basically the Von Erich Iron Claw in your chest. Because remember, he was always trying to rip people's hearts out, literally out of their chest with his bare hand. And then that happened on the bridge because his hand, he would do his chant. His hand would heat up and he was going to rip your heart out. And then he tricked him and then he went for the gimmicks he was trying to grab. I thought that was a great scene. So I would consider that very iconic. Short round fleas from the Thuggy cult making their way across the rickety bridge. So good stuff on that one. Next up, we're going to stick with The Last Crusade, and we're talking about the origin story. Indiana Jones' days as a Boy Scout. So no de-aging. This was River Phoenix, who was a big deal at the time. What did you think? I guess you would consider that iconic. Because I remember there was a big... When they were going to do the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, I thought it was just like a slam dunk that they were going to get River Phoenix, but they did book somebody else to do it.
Yeah, because he had passed at the time.
Yeah. But man, can you imagine like if they would have had like Indiana Jones being a hit series today and then you get a young Indiana Jones and you book a big talent like that, like a streamer just made a ton of cash just by me saying that. So I would consider that iconic for sure.
No argument here.
No argument there. Yeah, the next one, it's got to be snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? I think, oh, that's just my pet snake, Reggie. And then you also have the scene of him, and this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler. Maybe we throw this into our special. His Achilles heel is snakes, and he went face to face with Cobra. Right? So I think when you think of Superman, Kryptonite, his weakness, Indy's weakness is snakes. So just anytime there's a snake in an Indiana Jones movie, it's kind of iconic.
Well, there's a snake in every movie.
Yeah.
There's never not a snake.
Nope. No, there isn't. And that's, well, is there ever a Superman movie where they at least don't bring up kryptonite? I feel like if you have somebody that's all powerful, you need to, at least at the time, have a little bit of their weakness, a threat, to add a little bit of the suspense. Snakes? I don't know no snakes. Joe Pesci's home alone.
He sounded like a snake.
All right. And I think this might be the last one. There's no numbers next to it. No, there's two more. Choosing the True Holy Grail. The MacGuffin in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I mean, I think that's up there, right? I find that scene to be really good because I think it went a direction that you didn't expect, and it showed like a true leap of faith and a little bit of the switcheroo, a little bit of the ruse. So I felt like there was, for what they were trying to do, it was great. I don't know if you would consider that like iconic, but I felt like for what they were trying to do, it worked really well. The knight doesn't just hand you the grail. You have to pick it from an array of cups. I love that because it's just going to add some kind of suspense. So, like, iconic for the series, I don't know, but great for that film, yeah, 100%, absolutely. Agreed.
I mean, I think it's iconic. Doesn't that get the Doesn't that get dropped quite often where someone's like, "You have chosen wisely"?
Yes.
So I mean, that's when you that whole reveal of the knight being in there. I think that was a big pop.
Yeah.
That
The Knights Templar.
the Knights Templar,
Yep.
and he's a 300-year-old knight or whatever. That was good. I think it's iconic.
Okay. Yeah. We'll give it to you. Like I enjoyed it at the ending. I just compared it to some of the other scenes, especially the scene we're about to talk, which if this was listed in the proper order, this still would be the number one scene with everyone thinks about it. It's shooting the swordsman in Cairo. And we'll just like read it right from Screen Rant. Without a doubt, the quintessential Indiana Jones moment. A swordsman shows off his impressive skills, ready to fight Indy, and Indy just unholsters his revolver and shoots him dead. And you knew that wasn't part of the script, right?
No, they did that because somebody got injured or something.
He had a Harrison Ford had some kind of stomach bug, so he had explosive, coming out both ends.
Yeah.
So he improv that because he's like, we just need to end this day. That's the story. The scene was actually Harrison Ford's idea, along with the rest of the cast and crew, except for Spielberg, who brought his own food, so he was on set for this one, had gotten really sick from food poisoning while shooting Raiders in Tunisia. There was a lengthy choreographed fight between Indy and the swordsman, but Ford didn't feel up to it and suggested just shooting the guy. Spielberg loved the idea, and it became the character's finest hour. Magic on set.
Yeah.
That was, to me, that I would
Sometimes that's how it goes. You just what you come up with on set.
This is Indiana Jones. You're going to need a bigger boat improv, that like way iconic stuff, because I remember my dad sitting next to my dad and seeing this, and I remember him popping huge for this because it's just like Harrison Ford being the great actor that he is, the way he sold it, his facials, the way everybody else registered what just happened. You have the big iconic fight that's about to happen. He's like, whatever, boom. I think it was just great. So great job on making that the number one. Or if it is not the number one, we're going to make it our number one. And that's the end of the list. So we were correct that there are no iconic moments in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for Screen Rant. But can I give an honorable mention? Because in a way, to quote J. Jonah Jameson of Spider-Man, he doesn't want to be famous? I'll make him infamous. Do you not think it's infamous of going in the refrigerator and sitting through a nuclear bomb and getting blasted across the sky? Isn't that iconic in a way?
I mean, that's infamous in the Three Amigos kind of way.
Yeah. Lip balm?
Yeah. It's I mean it pretty much Fonzied its way into being an icon, right? Because that replaced Jump the Shark.
Nuke the Fridge.
Nuke the Fridge became Jump the Shark.
Yeah.
Which is what an awful idea.
Would that have worked if that came out in the 80s? Would that film have worked better if it came out in the 80s? Now I want to rewatch it.
It's just a bad film. Here's the thing. It's not necessarily that the ideas in it are bad. It's the execution of the whole movie. Nothing looks real, The sets don't feel practical. You watch Raiders, you can feel the sand on people's faces. You know what I mean? It feels like a real set. Everything looks like a green screen or some sort of like studio set all through Crystal Skulls.
So you're doing John Rhys Davy right now. You missed the desert. You missed the ocean. Yeah. You want to feel like they're actually shooting in Tunisia and not in the void. Or not the void. What do they call it?
The volume.
The volume.
So I think Crystal Skull could have been a good movie. It's just the way it's executed is really bad. And I think that's why I maintain that Steven Spielberg is probably not there.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't there. So we're going to circle back. So it's a little bit of a tall order for this movie coming out.
What's that?
It's a little bit of a tall order for Dial of Destiny to come up with any scenes that are iconic, or just to come up and adding to what you would consider the quintessential 80s trilogy.
Yeah.
Because, 2009 for Indiana Jones coming out, but it's 2022.
It's 2022.
And we're getting another Indiana Jones with not recast, not the de-age is going to be part of the story. We're going to get Harrison Ford as is. People, I mean, look, that Star Wars Force Awakens, whatever you have problems with it, shot for shot, remake of New Hope, whatever you want to call it, when you heard Chewie, we're home in the theater, it was like, boom, take $900 million right now.
Does that mean that, who is this film targeting?
That is a good question. I don't know.
Who is the target? I mean, obviously, old men like us are definitely a target. But who else? Who else wants to see an 80-year-old Indiana Jones on an adventure? Like, is it for 60-year-olds? Would 60-year-olds watch this movie and be like, man, Indiana Jones is awesome. I want to be like him when I grow up?
Yeah, I don't know, because I showed my son, and he was just like, yeah, I'll go see. Are we going to see it at Alamo so I can get some food? It's not like, oh, it looks really good. Do you think they're going to need to show more stuff in the trailer to get the people not going there for nostalgia?
I mean, the trailer is pretty much all nostalgia. Mike says it's for old men and their children. Yeah, I mean, that's probably right.
Also, you can have that sharing moment with your kids and your grandkids. I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, I remember sitting in Indiana Jones with my pops and my aunts and uncles and watching how much they loved it. And I'm like, I guess this is why we love films, and I love it too.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it is going to be a tall order to get people in the theater for this one, outside of old men who force their kids to go with them.
Yeah. Or do you do like Anthony was saying, for him, for the Star Wars sequels, Kylo Ren shooting out his lightsaber was like, oh yeah, I got to go see this. Did they show anything new enough that would bring in this generation that are already struggling with going to the movies and already struggling with watching content that's not short form? What was in that trailer like a Kylo Ren type moment that's going to bring them in? Nothing yet, but this was the teaser. This was just the teaser, so we don't know what they have in store. And are they going to lean heavily into the time travel, which brings it a little bit more sci-fi than action adventure, right? Because you had like the mystical type magic in Temple of Doom and Raiders, and Last Crusade, but like obviously when you got into Crystal Skulls and Aliens, you went really sci-fi. So now you're getting into time travel, which is going to get even more sci-fi. Is that going to be better or worse for Dial of Destiny?
Who's to say? I don't know. I don't know. It's a crapshoot.
Time travel back to bring Kylo Ren's lightsaber in his chest.
Is time travel magic or science?
It's all magic is science we don't understand. So if they throw a kind of line in there like that, and they kind of hinted to it, he's like, I don't believe in magic, but I've seen some things I can't explain.
Which is nuts because he's seen magic 1,000 times.
Yeah, that was a little.
In every movie, there's magic.
There's something, right? Absolutely. So maybe he's just old. Maybe now he's just like old and disgruntled. So I'm rooting for, fingers crossed, that it's going to be good. But again, it's going to be the last one no matter what. It's only downhill from here. There's nothing more you can do except. Is the goal just to not be worse than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Is that it?
I think that should be one of their goals. Probably one of their top goals, yeah.
I'm a fan of time. If they do it right, time travel is a fun concept. And even like, are you going to go old time travel with like Back to the Future where it's just like one timeline? But now even time travel as a film concept has evolved because like multiverse, obviously we're used to that in our entertainment. Like Marvel kind of redefined it with Endgame. We have science that is talking about like dark matter, dark energy, and multiple theories and quantum physics. We have a lot more of a complex concept, but an audience that are already kind of used to hearing these things. So you're not going to be able to just do basic time travel, or else you're going to be like Ant-Man was in Endgame. So Back to the Future was bullshit. So it's going to be interesting on what direction they're going to want to where they're going to go with it.
Yeah. I mean, whenever it's time travel, you sort of get to make up your own rules. So
Yeah.
I just like in the end, it just needs to be entertaining.
Yeah.
It needs to be well written, well executed, and just give us a good movie, please. If it's the it's fine. It's the last one, and it should be the last one. We don't need 85-year-old Indiana Jones. 80's good. Is he 80 in the movie? You think? Does he plan to shoot 80?
Well, man, when they showed him in that one scene, he looked 80. It's the oldest that I've ever seen Harrison Ford. Like, I thought he looked kind of old as Han Solo.
Yeah.
He looked way older.
Because I don't know if you're watching Tulsa King. Stallone's in Tulsa King.
Oh, yeah. I'm not watching it, but I hear good things.
It's good, but then there's one point when they ask him how old he is, and he says he's 75. And it freaks the other person out that he's so old. She just has to leave the room. No kidding. And it's just like, that's his shoot age. It's like, wow.
They actually gave it to him.
Yeah. So
I mean,
is he gonna be like?
He's in great shape.
Really
for
80? Oh yeah, for
75. So, and that's another good point too. Like Anthony just pointed out, we're at the atomic and beyond science back in Indies. Hey, this like if they're going chronological. So in the trailer we see the moon landing, right? So they're in the 60s.
Yeah.
So this is taking place in the 60s. So it's going to be, they're going to have to cover as science was in the 60s or how science is in 2022. Are you going to honor the story, or are you going to have to realize that it's 2022 and we have a different understanding of how time works, and that's going to affect your film? But then again, did it really affect anything in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Wait a minute. If the keys are there, what if I forget to put the keys there? But the keys were there, so that means I didn't forget. And you're like, oh, cool. That makes sense.
Do you think Indy's going to be pulling those time travel gimmicks and just making trash cans fall from the sky?
Yeah.
Or just like saying he's going to go back in time and do something, and then it would magically appear?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's what they've... It feels like they're hinting to it.
What are the odds we're going to have two Indiana Joneses on screen?
A young Indy and then the current Indy?
A young and an old.
I think that's pretty good.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty high probability.
It looks like there's Nazis in the film, so we're probably going back to the 40s, right?
Yeah. Well, fun in real life, right? If you do any kind of like World War II studies, and I think they got into this a little bit in The Man in the High Castle, talking about, I think the Nazi scientists were studying this type of time travel. So do you think that there's literally a chance that in real life, any kind of like Nazi science was trying to study how to do time travel to go back to gimmick it so they won?
I mean, they were studying everything, right? They were studying time travel, ghosts,
everything,
aliens, magic.
There was nothing off the boards for that. So to put this into the story, I mean, all bets are off. But all right, Disney, fine. You got my money at least once, because anything goes. All right, man. I don't think I think Eric is he's probably well into it, so we might not get that last final update. But I think that was our go home spot.
Before we go to the go home spot, you didn't mention the decorations.
Oh yeah, they look fantastic. Yeah, I just gave a little bit of a hint. We do have a very special Christmas holiday special that's going to be coming up. What? Oh, it's like the end of the Blob. It's just like the end of the Blob. That's perfect.
So we've got a couple of holiday shows coming up.
Yeah.
Should tune in for the rest of the month. Holiday High Spots and a Christmas special on the 21st.
Yes. Yeah, so we got two more before the big day. And should we tell them what we're doing Saturday? Should we get into it, or do we want to keep it as a surprise?
We'll keep that as a secret.
All right, we'll keep that. But we're cooking up a big surprise that will be on the channel that I think everybody's going to enjoy, and we'll get some perennial magic, if you will, in there. But man, I had no idea that. Is there any more before we do our go home? Is there any more gimmicks that you have on there besides the beautiful snow?
We didn't get to the dancing guys. We'll save that.
All right. Oh, they got dancing guys too. All right. So we got. Yeah. So we got. Mario's always doing massive upgrades to our production here, and it shows. So hopefully you do appreciate that. But yeah, thanks for Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be on our regularly scheduled program. We're going to lean a little bit more heavily, even more so, next week into the holiday season. And like you said, leaning into December 21st.
Give us ideas. Do you have anything you want to see us talk about in the show?
Yeah, let us know, of course. Just throw it there in the comments. Going home, I am home. We're all home because no matter where you go, there you are. But yeah, if there's anything you want to see, we're going to be cooking up some cool stuff for the holiday season because Halloween is a fun season, but also this December season is going to be really good. We did some cool stuff last year, so go check some of our old We did Christmas versus pro wrestling. We did Christmas horror movies. We've done that before, so we're not going to do that again, but it's already on our page, so go back and check that out. So, Anthony, yeah, and look for those stickers. They are coming in the mail to you, and Mike will be in touch with you there soon. I'll let you know what we're cooking up here. So, yeah, I think we ended up when da-na-da-na-da-na-da, anything goes. Our live shoot. Talk about juggling chainsaws and tiki torches. People that are staying home.